O'Neill describes former prime ministers as hypocrites. Catholic schools focus on teacher development. And Auckland City is Oceania champion for the 6th time.
This is National EMTV News with Hope Imaka.
Good evening, I'm Hope Imaka with Saturday's news. Recent statements by Sir Michael Somare and Sir Mekere Marauta calling for the Prime Minister to resign from office have been described by Peter O'Neill as first-class hypocrisy. Referring to the recent arrests of high-profile leaders, Mr. O'Neill repeated that he will only resign if there is evidence of him benefiting financially. He says he will not resign as the motives of Sir Michael and Sir Mekere is pure sour grapes. Quinton Alom reports.
The two former prime ministers have recently released public statements calling on Prime Minister Peter O'Neill to step aside from office. Both claim that the integrity of the office of Prime Minister has been undermined by O'Neill's actions in relation to criminal charges against him relating to a warrant of arrest and the investigation into the Paul Paraka legal bills payment. Sir Mekere in the statement said O'Neill should hand himself into police and explain what he knows about the Paraka case and his involvement. He said O'Neill's action has cast a shadow over the office of the Prime Minister and has damaged the country's reputation internationally. A separate statement released by Sir Michael Somare called on all elected MPs not to remain silent and allow the office of the Prime Minister to be manipulated. Sir Michael called on the PM to respect his office and surrender to police. But Prime Minister O'Neill today replied in a statement describing the comments by the two former prime ministers as first-class hypocrisy. O'Neill says Sir Mekere and Sir Michael's statements were self-serving and simply unnecessary. He says the matters are before the courts and both have to respect that no person is guilty until proven in courts based on compelling evidence. He repeated a statement he made in Parliament when responding to opposition leader Don Polye on the same issue.
I've always stated this and I state this again very clearly. If there's one evidence that I received one financial benefit, I will resign tomorrow. I will resign tomorrow.
He denied claims that he benefited from the Paul Paraka saga, twisting the finger to Sir Michael and his son. O'Neill says the two need to explain why government money from a community college fund ended up in Somare's personal account in Singapore. Quinten Alom, National EMTV News.
Usinobundi district in Medang continues to support and prioritize education as a key development area. Speaking to parents in Southsea, local MP Anton Yagama said education will play a crucial role in changing the district. The member said funds will be provided and people managing it must be accountable so that everyone can benefit through the education system.
Despite the education sector under scrutiny over teachers' entitlements, reforms in the education curriculum and other issues attached to the education system, numerous calls have been to implement quality education throughout the country. In a visit yesterday to Southsea Primary School, Usinobundi MP Anton Yagama was called on to improve the quality of education in the district. His visit to the school was to present funding of 200,000 kina to support the school change its status to high school.
Working work, Lord, education, block come up him or picking name blow you me by Sabe must pull up inside law, Usinobundi.
The Usinobundi district started supporting students from the district through subsidizing of school fees since 2013, including those in the higher education sector. The funding will see the development of the Southsea High School after seeing an increase in the number of students and with the district having only one high school, which is Brahman.
Picking name blow you me must go to school. By all no can be a name like Mark blow you.
While thanking the district for the support to students, a parent called for the district to also maintain quality education in order for students to score better marks.
Quality education, me like encourage me this and make us also make an upgrading facilities.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
Members of the Cut Flowers Association are eagerly preparing for the annual flower show in Port Moresby in the month of May. It's a thriving industry in the country, especially for women. Eric Harupma spoke to one local floriculture farmer, Veronica Lowe, about how she has been benefiting from the floriculture business.
PNG Cut Flower Association member and floriculture entrepreneur Veronica Lowe is set for the event showdown with all the spectacular and unique flowers that she grows in a backyard. Veronica, 44, said like other mothers who have the passion and love for flowers, this has inspired her to grow her own.
I kind of went into really loving them, so I had to bring them home, bring them, wherever I could find them, bring them home and collect them, put them in the pots and hang them up just to beautify.
She said it all started back in 2014 at the University of Papua New Guinea Botanical Garden when she was introduced to varieties of flowers while visiting the area. Inspired, she began to grow flower cuttings in flower pots. She said despite moving from home to home, she carried the flowers with her until she moved over to Malolo Estate.
I took off all my pot plants, I moved houses and I came here. So whatever you see around here has brought me into getting myself inspired in selling.
She was introduced to the Cut Flowers Association in 2014 by a friend and later registered as an active member of the association. Like other farmers who will be showcasing the flowers during the annual show, as will be the upper hand because of the quality of flowers. She had been engaging in this floriculture business for almost 2 years, and with the revenue obtained from selling flowers, she was able to support her family financially.
Me last year financially to help fund my son's school fees in Medang Tech. He's doing his second year now. It has helped me to get the floriculture now has grown this far, has helped me to get a title in Popondetta and a title in Kimbe.
Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
Opposition leader Don Pollier claims the national government has failed to fully understand the Bougainville peace agreement. Mr. Pollier says this has resulted in several requirements of the peace agreement not fully honored. Mr. Pollier called on the national government to fill the gaps and build trust to ensure referendum results are achieved in a peaceful resolution.
Outstanding issues on funding for the autonomous region of Bougainville have remained a challenge, which President Chief John Momis has been very vocal about. Today, opposition leader Don Pollier also raised his concerns on the same matters concerning Bougainville's fiscal situation. One of the biggest concerns is budget appropriations that have not been paid.
The national government does not show any interest like we see today. If it does not show interest in meeting its part of the bargain, in dedicating itself to the commitments in the agreement, the young people suffer, businesses suffer, services are not being provided, the autonomous regional government is not provided the funding that is required, then it is a sad scenario. It's very difficult for the people to say we'll remain part of Papua New Guinea.
The national government needs to build trust and move Bougainville to its destiny. Mr. Pollier said the autonomous Bougainville government must be seen as the legitimate government on ground, with funding directly sent without questions.
There should be trust. The national government, the Prime Minister should trust the President John Momis, should trust his executive, trust his parliament, trust the leadership there. The funds should be sent without any debate, without any dispute, without any complaints, or without any excuses.
Mr. Pollier says such actions are political setbacks to Bougainville's quest of self-determination. He has called on the Prime Minister, the government ministers and parliamentarians to read the Bougainville Peace Agreement to understand the requirements of parties involved. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Youth forum held in Ley discuss anti-corruption, teachers focus on development, and much-needed funding for Anglicare's HIV care center. Those stories when we come back. Welcome back to the news. Petty crime, drug and alcohol abuse, and youth unemployment issues were among some of the topics raised at a forum in Ley this week. The youth gathering attracted discussions from students of Ley secondary schools and 2 youth groups. The discussions highlighted problems in economic, business and social sectors faced at the community level. Also in attendance was Ley MP Lajaya Kauza and other stakeholders of Ley's urban development. Being the country's industrial hub with 9 districts on a large landmass, its young people have now realized the need for development and made a call to address social and economic issues. The students also talked about land grabbing issues, police brutality and city traffic congestion. The forum, organized by Transparency International, was aimed at capturing ideas of young people that can help in strengthening more anti-corruption campaigns. Catholic church agencies in Papua New Guinea continue to prioritize education in the country, guided by the Education Department's policies. The Ley Catholic Diocese Center, which runs 26 schools and institutions in Morobe, aims to manage student behavior by also training teachers to be good ambassadors. A gathering of over 100 Catholic school teachers held this week in Ley focused on personal development for teachers.
The in-service will support teachers carry their teaching duties and also helps them uphold the rules and regulations of Catholic education agencies. The Ley Catholic Diocese Center Christian Education Division has a record of having some of the strictly ruled schools in the province, many of which also carry on board policies from the Education Department, like the Student Management Behavior Policy. This teacher development training aims to make teachers act as good role models for their students alongside the church's education policies already knitted in the schools.
They will be the ones who work side by side with us to implement the spiritual program in the school to help the students to see where they are.
Over 100 schools and institutions in the country are Catholic coordinated. In Morobe, 26 primary and elementary schools, including institutions, are strictly regulated by Catholic Education Agency policies.
At church, we are trying our very best, at least to making sure that everyone at least have some kind of a knowledge in order to read and write, and know something at least to write something. So that's why it's our business to educate.
The Catholic Christian education continues to uphold the Student Management Behavior Policy, but also aims to implement a religious approach towards students' behavior. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Ley.
The Anglicare Drop-In Centre in Waigani, Port Moresby, received cash and kind donations from international marketing company JM Ocean Avenue. The centre, which usually cares for HIV victims undergoing treatment, was on the verge of closing due to lack of funding. Anglicare Foundation says the donation will keep the Drop-In Centre open for the year.
Anglicare Drop-In Centre, which began operations in 2005 to help HIV victims receive treatment at Anglicare Voluntary Counselling Testing Centre. Henny Mecca is the National Director of Anglicare. She says that usually patients are weak after treatment and the Drop-In Centre was created to help them rest.
And HIV has a couple of programs, counseling, testing, treatment, continuum of care, which is the Drop-In Centre that JMO has.
JM Ocean Avenue gave 4,000 kina cash and 7,400 kina worth of products. The products were Suso hydrogen, a water purifier, and Ribos tea. Miss Mecca was thankful for the contributions.
And it's in line with what we're doing. So the 4,000 will actually get the program start again in terms of nutrition support, in terms of other small needs that they have.
JM Ocean Avenue Marketing Executive Julia Pokopia explained that the company is located overseas but has the sales representatives here in Papua New Guinea. She said the company's owner is a philanthropist who donates to charities and NGOs.
For over more than some years. And in PNG, this is the first ever we're doing.
Pakopia said this was their first time to donate in PNG.
In some ways, we will still continue to donate to Anglicare and other NGOs.
Adelaide Sirox, Kari National, MTV News.
And now heading overseas, last year almost 800 migrants drowned off the Libyan coast when the fishing boat they were traveling in collided with a mercantile vessel that had set out to rescue them. Exactly a year later, around 214 migrants were rescued from boats in the Mediterranean. The survivors were transported to a port in Sicily's Pozzallo.
The migrants, including 64 children, were taken to land on board a French rescue vessel. Survivors were required to undergo standard health and identification checks in the port before boarding coaches, which took them to holding centres. Save the Children representatives present called on European leaders to reassert their moral and legal obligations and to focus on protecting lives rather than the borders.
European leaders have put in place security measures that aren't necessarily for the benefit of people coming over that are fleeing persecution, war and poverty. The numbers will not stop coming because they have no choice but to try and reach Europe. What they're leaving behind is not a life that is worth living, many children have told me. So yes, the safe passage has to be implemented and search and rescue measures need to be continued.
They are asking for the government to continue the search and rescue operations in the Mediterranean and to guarantee safe passage for refugees and migrants.
That there's been another shipwreck at sea, so what we need is to continue the search and rescue operation, to put in place safe passage for the thousands of people that will be coming over this year, because no one should die needlessly in the sea because European leaders are protecting their borders rather than putting human interests first.
Meanwhile, in the latest migrant boat incident, 6 bodies were recovered and 108 migrants were rescued from a semi-submerged rubber dinghy on Sunday this week. A Coast Guard reported that the humanitarian group SOS Mediterranean-run ship Aquarius found the bodies. The survivors, along with 6 corpses, were taken to the Italian island of Lampedusa on Monday afternoon. The Italian president, in a statement, stressed the need for Europe to seriously reflect on the face of yet another tragedy in the Mediterranean.
We really need to reflect, especially today, facing yet another tragedy in the Mediterranean in which it seems several hundred people have died. On the day we are marking the first anniversary of the shipwreck in which 800 people lost their lives.
Melissa Gaviro, MTV World News.
Chukai Sports is next, and Auckland City has beaten Wellington in the Oceania Champions League. I'll be back with the details.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Auckland City will take on some of the best players on the planet yet again when they converge for the FIFA Club World Cup in Japan in December. The team has won the OFC Champions League trophy for a groundbreaking 6th consecutive time. Auckland beat Wellington 3-0 in this afternoon's decider. Bad weather has forced match officials to call off the grand final match of the Port Moresby Softball League. Play was called off in the 3rd inning, with Yokomo leading United Brothers 10-4. Momentum was on Yokomo's side, with the Paul Bogan-led team displaying a master class in the 2nd inning to score 8 runs. However, match officials were forced to call off the game due to heavy rains. The grand final match will be replayed next Saturday. Chukai Sports ends there. I'll be back after the break.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
Welcome back. Unfortunately, the Weather Office was unable to provide us with tonight's forecast, but it has been raining heavily in the nation's capital, and we caution drivers on the road to drive safely. From the news team, I'm Hope Imaka. Pleasant viewing. Good night.